Good morning, all of you. In today's session, we are going to start with CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science, June 2014, Part C, Series 1. Earlier, we completed 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 academic year. Both the sessions CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science June and December question papers have been solved and all are available on the channel called World of Competitive Chemistry. This kind of standard previous year question paper discussion will fetching you towards research aspiration, any competitive exams and entrance examinations as well. Let us enter into our today's concept. Here, CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science, June 2014, Part C, Series 1 consists of question number 71 to question number 80. We are going to discuss 10 questions, solved questions of this session. So let us start with question number 71. Reaction of ruthenium NH3 taken 5, isonicotinamide plus 3 with chromium H2O taken 6 plus 2 occurs by inner sphere mechanism and the rate of the reaction is determined by dissociation of successor complex. It is due to. Here, let us repeat the question once again. Ruthenium NH3 taken 5, isonicotinamide was given, right? So this complex upon treating with chromium hexaquo complex. So here the mechanism between ruthenium and chromium proceeded with inner sphere mechanism. What is mean by inner sphere mechanism? So here reactions are basically, electron transfer reactions are basically classified into two types. Electron transfer to the outer sphere, electrons transfer through the inner sphere. Outer sphere denotes what? Two different compounds get added and two distinguishable product formations are possible and externally electrons got transferred. In case of inner sphere mechanism, whenever both the components got added, mechanism proceeded with one intermediate compound where bridging between two reactants are possible. Electrons got transferred with the bridging ligand, so that here the mechanism is said to be inner sphere. So in case of ruthenium as well as chromium, they proceeded with inner sphere mechanism, right? So inner sphere is nothing but, so there is a possibility of ruthenium complex working like a bridging ligand, and being ruthenium is inert and chromium is labile, there is a shifting of electrons through the ruthenium bridging ligand, right? Inert ruthenium bridge to labile chromium complex. Through this here electron transfer is possible, right? Reaction 3 taken 5, isonicotinamide plus 3 upon treating with chromium hexaquo, inner sphere is possible. Rate of the reaction determined by dissociation of successor complex. This is because of inner sphere mechanism. Bridging ligand always participate, ruthenium working like a bridge, and inert ruthenium labile chromium complex got treated, so that here electron transfer is possible. That is available in the option number 2. For question number 72, option number 2 is the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 72. Consider right. So we are discussing about question number 72. Consider the second order rate constant for the following outer sphere electron transfer. Already we discussed electron transferred basically two types, inner and outer sphere mechanism. Outer sphere where two distinguishable reactants got added and two distinguishable product got generated, and electrons will be transformed from external source only, right? So when we consider iron hexaquo plus 3 complex, iron being it is in plus 3, turned into plus 2 by the transfer of electron. So here transfer of electron proceeded, and here rate constant of second order reaction is given by 4 mole inverse second inverse. When we go with PHEN taken thrice, this denotes what? 1,10 phenanthroline plus 3. Then phenyl iron triphenyl plus 2 got given. So here 1,10 phenanthroline taken thrice given. That means here iron plus 3 complex again transformed into plus 2. Here the second order rate constant is given as 3.0 into 10 to the power 7, right? So in both the cases, The enhanced rate constant for second order is due to the fact that, why the rate constant? Here, if you observe iron hexaquo complex and iron 1,10 phenanthroline complex, both the complexes were given. In case of first reaction, 4.0 value is given. In case of second, 3 into 10 to the power 7. That means rate of the reaction is increased by many folds. What could be the reason for this one? Why this increase in the rate of the reaction is observed for this increased rate of the reaction observed for second one? What could be the factor for this one? This is purely explained based on, first let us see what is the external transfer of electrons. Initially we have phenanthroline Fe plus 3 and Fe plus 2 got generated. How it could be? By the gaining of 1 electron. Plus 3 by accepting electron converted into plus 2 state. So that this outer sphere mechanism mainly possible when phenanthroline is a pi acceptor. So obviously phenanthroline is a sigma donor and a pi acceptor ligand, allows the mixing of electron donor and acceptor ligands and enhances the rate of the electron transfer. What is the actual reason? Pi acceptor nature is there. Back bonding is possible in case of this one. So that mixing of electron donor and acceptor ligands are possible, and this will facilitate the rate of reaction. Subsequently, electron transfer will be faster in nature, right? So because of this pi acceptor nature and the mixing of orbitals are possible, that will facilitate the electron transfer reaction. That is given in the option number 1. 72. Option number 1 is the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 73. The compound rhenium taken twice, Me2PPH taken 4, Cl4. Here, M having a configuration sigma square pi to the power 4 delta square delta star square can be oxidized to M plus and M plus 2. The formula of metal order in M plus 2 respectively. Right here, electronic configuration is provided. This is a kind of rhenium system, right? So for this rhenium system, electronic configuration, this is in accordance with molecular orbital theory. Electron configuration is given, and what we have to denote, the thing we have to predict is metal bond order to be predicted. Bond order formula we already know. We are more familiar with bond order formula. What is the formula? Half into electrons resides in the bonding molecular orbital minus electrons resides in anti-bonding molecular orbitals, right? 1/2 into bonding molecular orbitals minus anti-bonding molecular orbitals. Then 1/2. How many bonding orbitals are there? The orbitals which are not indicated by the asterisk mark, those are called bonding. Asterisk orbitals are anti-bonding orbitals. So here, how many are there? 2 pi 4, 6 plus 2, 8. 8 electrons are present in bonding. In case of M is nothing but zero oxidation state. So entire electrons will be considered for this bond order, right? So that bonding electrons are 2 plus 4, 6 plus 2, 8. Then anti-bonding electrons, how many star bonded electrons are there? Only 2. So 8 minus 2, it could be 6. 6/2. 6/2 is nothing but 3. So in case of metal of non-ionic, that means zero oxidation state metal, the bond order will be 3. Let us move on to M plus. When we consider M plus is nothing but one of the electron got discarded. Whenever we remove one of the electron from antibonding, bonding orbital electrons are 8. In case of M plus, bonding electrons are 8. Antibonding electron minus 1 only, because one of the electron got removed. So that here 7/2. 7/2 is nothing but 3.5 will be the bond order. So this is for M plus kind. When we go with M plus 2, M plus 2 is nothing but 2 antibonding electrons got removed. Asterisk mark 2 electrons got removed from this, right? So that here bond order will be 1/2 into 8 minus 0. 8 minus 0 is nothing but 8/2. 8/2 is bond order 4. So rhenium both bonded by 4 bond order. So pure metal in zero oxidation state bond order will be 3. Then M plus 3.5, M plus 2 it will be 4. So all are given in the correct order in the option number 1. For question number 73, option number 1 is the correct answer. This is solved based on molecular orbital theory, right? So let us move on to question number 74. And this is the complex structure of rhenium, whichever given in the zero oxidation state. So rhenium 2 Br4 PME3 taken for this is the complex. This is the complex of rhenium where we found metal bond order in metal zero oxidation, metal mono oxidation, metal dioxidation state respectively. That will be 3, 3.5 and 4, which are provided in option number 1. Let us move on to question number 74. It is the part of bioinorganic chemistry. In low chloride ion concentration, the anti-cancer drug cisplatin hydrolyzes to give diaqua complex, and this binds to DNA via adjacent to guanine, right? According to the atom of guanine, platinum is. So the coordinating atom of guanine to platinum. Here, if you see the guanine, so guanine is a DNA base where we have a 6-membered ring with a 2 nitrogens at 3 position and 1 5-membered ring with the nitrogens at 2 positions again, right? So this is a condensed system, guanine system is there. In this guanine system, we have N1, N3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So N5, N7. So here the position of nitrogens are N1, N3, N5, N7. These are the position of nitrogens. The question is the coordinating atom of guanine with the platinum. So when this guanine base is treated with anti-cancer drug, that is cisplatin, then where the binding tendency will be there? For that purpose, when cisplatin, what is the structure of cisplatin? Platinum surrounded by 2 amino, 2 chlorofunctional groups in the square planar geometry. This is called cisplatin, which is the familiar anti-cancer agent which used in the treatment of tumors, right? Upon treating with DNA, DNA is a double helical structure which is bounded by purine and pyrimidine bases which are connected by the hydrogen bonding. Helical structure is a double helical structure is provided for that one. When it is interacted with the cisplatin, this platin will be interacted with the guanine base, especially at N7. Here we have N7 nitrogen, right? That N7 nitrogen will form a bond with this is cisplatin. So the correct answer, so here you can clearly see this N7 nitrogen able to form a bond with this cisplatin, so that at option number C, that means N7 given in the option number C. For question number 74, option number C is the correct answer, right? Option number 3 is the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 75. F19 NMR spectrum of ClF3. What is meant by ClF3? Trifluorochlorine. This is the interhalogen compound. It is the question from main group elements. And F19 NMR spectrum of ClF3 trifluorochlorine shows how many signals are given by this compound in the F19 NMR spectrum. So here NMR spectrum is applicable to proton NMR, C13 NMR, F19 NMR. In this way, different NMR spectrums are available. F19 NMR is specific for the prediction of structure based on the nature of fluorine atoms present in the given compound, right? So here already we know ClF3 is a molecule which is bounded by sp3d hybridization. Being it is sp3d, there is a geometry of trigonal bipyramidal, but 2 axial positions are occupied by lone pair of electrons. Hence we can say there is a possibility of occupying 2 lone pair of electrons in the axial and also in the equatorial position. But the molecule becomes more stable in the lone pair residing in the equatorial, and it will become a T-shaped molecule. So this is the shape of the molecule, and the geometry will be trigonal bipyramidal. So the difference between geometry and the shape of the molecule is, in the geometry we will consider even lone pair of electrons also, so that it will be trigonal bipyramidal. If we consider only shape, the lone pair of electrons will be excluded, so that it will become ClF3. F only, this will be T shape, right? So in case of this molecule, how many F19 NMR spectral signals will be possible? For that purpose, here, if we see this T-shaped molecule, here 2 axial and 1 equatorial set of fluorines will be there. Here, proton NMR or F19 NMR will purely depends upon not on the number but on the nature of fluorine atoms present in the compound. Here, these axial are considered as one set, equatorial is considered as another set. In the given ClF3 molecule, we have two set of fluorine molecules. 2 set of fluorine atoms are present. Okay. First, let us calculate for axial. Axial means both are perpendicular to each other. For this fluorine axial type, let us apply 2Ni+1 formula. 2 into N denotes how many axial fluorines are there. For axial, we are considering, that's why here. Yes, for axial, we have 2 axial fluorine atoms. 2 into 2 into 1/2 plus 1 can be taken. So 2 get compensated, 2 plus 1. How many signals are possible? 3. So that is denoted as a triplet. For axial, we will get a triplet. Then let us count. Let us calculate the same kind of formula for equatorial type of fluorine. How many equatorial fluorines are there? Only 1 equatorial fluorine is there. For this, you can employ 2Ni+1 formula. 2 into how many equatorial fluorines? Only 1. 2 into 1 into 1/2. 1/2 will be the L value. So azimuthal quantum number value of this angular value of fluorine. So that will be 2 into 1 into 1/2 plus 1. 2 to get compensated. 1 plus 1, it will become a doublet. Number of possible signals are 1 doublet, 1 triplet is possible. Doublet and triplet for T-shaped structure. So this is given in the option number 1. So for question number 75, option number 1 is the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 76. At low temperature, -98 degrees centigrade, F19 NMR spectrum of sulfur tetrafluoride shows a doublet of triplet. It is consistent with the point group symmetry. The molecule is sulfur tetrafluoride, and the possible signals are doublet of triplets and consistent point group symmetry. Which point group symmetry is applicable for this? We have to depict. For this purpose, let us draw the structure. Sulfur having 4 fluorine groups in these positions, 2 axial, 2 equatorial will be there, and one of the equatorial position resided where the lone pair of electron, and the geometry will be trigonal bipyramidal. Shape of the molecule is CISA structure, right? So this is the actual geometry and shape of the molecule for this sulfur tetrafluoride. When we employ, so doublet or triplet. So how can we get doublet or triplet? Let us apply first the formula. 2Ni+1 formula can be employed for axial type. How many axial fluoro groups are there? 2 axial fluoro groups are there. Hence, you can say 2 into 2 into 1/2 plus 1, right? 2 to get compensated, you will get a triplet. For equatorial, how many equatorial are there? Here, you can find 2 equatorial fluoro. So that 2Ni+1 formula, 2 into 1/2 plus 1. 2 to get compensated, again you will get 3 signals. That means triplet. So here, a doublet of triplet is obtained for this. This is the correct geometry and the correct shape of the molecule only. Now, the thing we have to deduce is what will be the point group of symmetry for this molecule. In order to predict the point group symmetry, the molecule is drawn with the hypothetical line, and we are rotating the molecule along its axis, right? Upon rotation, there is a possibility of C2 axis of rotation, because after rotation, it will be reflected with identical moiety, so that you can say C2 axis of symmetry will be present within the molecule. And when we put a hypothetical vertical plane upon this, vertically we are going to bisect the molecule into equal halves, so that 2 equal halves get generated. Hence, we can say vertical plane of symmetry is there. C2 axis and vertical plane is there. Hence, we can say it is a C2V symmetry. The point group symmetry of sulfur tetrafluoride will be C2V. C2V symmetry will be present within the molecule. C2V is available in the option number 4. For question number 76, option number 4 is the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 77. Among organolithium, Grignard, organoaluminium compounds, those react with silicon tetrachloride to give compound containing silicon carbon bonds are. Okay, so here organolithium was given, Grignard reagent were given, organoaluminium compound is also given. These three compounds now treated with silicon tetrachloride. Then where we will get silicon carbon bond? That means carbosilicones. So carbosilicones, where could we find them? So let us go with one by one. First, organolithium. Organolithium is nothing but alkyl lithium, right? You may take methyl lithium, ethyl lithium, propyl, phenyl lithium, whatever. So that alkyl group denotes what? Organolithium compound. And treated with silicon tetrachloride. Being lithium monovalent, silicon tetravalent, that's why we require 4 moles of alkyl lithium compound. So here addition is possible. We will get R4Si. So tetra-alkyl silane will be formed, and the byproduct will be lithium chloride. What's the byproduct? Lithium chloride is the byproduct here, right? So there is a possibility of silicon carbon bond formation when we are treating with organolithium. So in case number 1, it is possible. Let us go with Grignard reagent. Grignard reagent is nothing but alkyl magnesium halide. Any alkyl group you may take methyl magnesium chloride, ethyl magnesium bromide, propyl magnesium chloride. In that way, any RMgX. This is a generalized formula. Upon treating with silicon tetrachloride, there is a possibility of reaction and a tetra-alkyl silane will be generated. MgXCl will, right? So here tetra-alkyl silane will be generated upon treating with Grignard reagent. So that here also we will get silicon carbon linkage. So in second case also we got the positive test. Then let us go with third one. What organoaluminium compound? Being aluminium is trivalent, silicon is tetravalent. In order to balance the reaction, in order to achieve the stoichiometry, we are going to treat 4 moles of trialkyl aluminium with 3 moles of silicon tetrachloride. So that 3 moles of R4Si and 4 moles of AlCl3, so that stoichiometry got satisfied. So here we will get again silicon carbon linkage upon treating with this organoaluminium compound. So in 3 kind of reactions, it is possible to convert silicon tetrachloride into tetra-alkyl silane. That is briefly demonstrated in the single diagrammatic representation by treating tetrachlorosilane with organolithium, organomagnesium, organoaluminium. So in 3 cases, we could achieve this tetra-alkyl silane as the final product. So all are available in the option number D. A, B, C, all are able to give silicon carbon linkage. So the correct answer will be option number 4. For question number 77, option number 4 is the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 78. It is in its electronic spectrum of vanadium hexaquo plus 3 exhibit 2 adsorption bands. One is 17,800 denoted with nu1 and second is 25,700 denoted with nu2. The correct assignment of these bands respectively. Okay, here vanadium hexaquo complex was given and 2 signals are possible in its electronic spectrum. Then, so which kind of transition is possible? What kind of transition is possible for this vanadium complex? We have to explain. In order to explain this, Tanabe-Sugano diagram is required for that. And the possible transition is for U1, first nu1 transition, 3T1GF can be excited into 3T2G F. 3T1G excited into next level 3T2G. Then new to 3T1G can be excited into 3T1G P. So this first kind of transition corresponds to 17,800. And the second type of transition 25,700, which are clearly depicted in the diagram. The plotting of a graph between adsorbance versus wave number, we got two curvature signals. One is corresponding 1700 for first signal, so 3T1G to 3T2G, and the second one belongs to 3T1G F to 3T1G P, that is at 25,500. So this is the data collected from NPTEL lecture, and which is available in where 3T1G F to 3T2G F, 3T1G F to 3T1G P, that is available in the option number 1, right? So for question number 78, option number 1 is the correct answer. Let us move on to next question 79. Reactions of elemental as without elemental AS denotes what? Arsenic with hot concentrated nitric acid, sulfuric acid respectively. Whenever arsenic treated with sulfuric acid and nitric acid, what will be the product generated, right? So the reactions of elemental arsenic with concentrated nitric acid that used to give, upon treating with concentrated nitric acid, formation of arsenic acid is possible. Arsenic acid is denoted with H3AsO4. What is the formula of arsenic acid? H3AsO4 is the formula for arsenic acid. If you are taking dilute, within the problem they mentioned only concentrated, but we gave the provision for if dilute nitric acid is there is a formation of arsenous acid. Arsenous in the sense what? One of the hydrogen will be deficient. That means H2AsO4 will be arsenous acid if we are taking dilute. That is not required actually, right? Then upon treating with sulfuric acid, there is a formation of arsenic trioxide. Arsenic trioxide is indicated with what? AsO3 is the formula for arsenic trioxide, but it exists in dimeric form. So that it is represented as As4O6, right? So in this way, so concentrated nitric acid will give arsenic acid, that is H3AsO4. Sulfuric acid will give arsenic trioxide, which in turn exists in dimeric form. Both are available in the option number 4. For question number 79, option number 4 is the correct answer. Let us move on to last question of the series. The total valency electron count and the structure type adopted by the complex Fe5CO taken 15C respectively. Okay, here the compound iron polycarbonyl system was given. In this iron polycarbonyl system, the things we have to predict are two. One is total valency electron count and what could be its cluster structure. Both should be defined. For that purpose, we are taking iron F5CO taken 15C. For this total valency electrons, how many iron atoms are there? Here 5 iron atoms. Each iron is composed of NS2 N-1 D6 configuration, means 6 electrons in d orbital, 2 electrons in s orbital. Total it will be 8, right? NS2 N-1 D6 electrons. Total 8 valency electrons present in iron. 5 into 8. This is for iron. Plus, how many carbonyl groups are there? 15 carbonyl groups are there, and each carbonyl contributing 2 electrons. 15 into 2 it could be, right? Then how many carbons are there? Only 1 carbon. Then each carbon contribute 4 electrons. It is tetravalent. So here 1 into 4 it will be, right? So now 5 into 8 plus 15 into 2 plus 1 into 4. Then total valency electron count will be 74. 74 electrons are there, right? Total valency electrons are 74. So let us go. So here, one of the question got solved with this total valency electrons 74 only given in the option number 4. By this also you can conclude what is the correct answer for this question. We have to go with the what will be the cluster structure. Cluster structure will be denoted for transition metals by using formula 14n plus 2. In case of main group elements, it will be 4n plus 2. For transition metals, it will be 14n plus 2, 14n plus 4, 14n plus 6, 14n plus 8. 14n plus 2 denotes closo. Closo means a cage-like of structure. 14n plus 4 means a nido, nest type of structure. 14n plus 6 arachno, net type of structure will be there. 14n plus 8 hypo, and 14n plus 10 clado. Such a kind of cluster structure will be given in accordance with Wade's rule, right? So let us apply the formula 14 into n denotes what? How many metal atoms are there in the given complex? Here, being it is penta iron complex, here n value becomes 5. 14 into 5 plus, so here this value we have to depict. That's why we indicated as x is equal to total valency electrons. How many total valency electrons we got? 74. So 14 into 5 plus x is equal to, here it will be 74. So 14 into 5, 70 plus x is equal to 74. The difference is 4. X is equal to 4 is nothing but 14 n plus 4 formula can be implied. 14 n plus 4 formula denotes what? The cluster structure is nido. So nido cluster structure is there. So nido cluster structure is also valuable in the option number 1. For question number 80, 74 is the total valency electrons, and the corresponding Wade's cluster structure is nido. So that is given in the option number 1. For question number 80, option number 1 is the correct answer. By this, we completed entire series 1 of CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science, June 2014, consisting questions from 71 to 80. I hope this session will be very much helpful for your preparation. Thank you very much for your consistent listening. Thank you, one and all.